I'm sitting here with Dayton Public School Principal of Thurgood Marshall High School, David Lawrence. And I'm going to ask him some questions about what state report cards really mean and what's been going on at his high school and what's different about Thurgood than it was before he got here. So first off, Thurgood Marshall wasn't always Thurgood Marshall High School, right?
Nope, it was Colonel White High School.
Okay, and you guys moved over here when?
2000 and the 2007-8 school year, I think in December. I wasn't here then. I was assistant principal at Stuyvesant.
Okay, so you were started here in 2009?
2008.
2008.
This is beginning of my third year.
Okay, and what were the scores like for Colonel White?
They ranged. If we use the performance index as a measure, you could get as high as maybe 79 and as low as maybe 64. But they fluctuated back and forth and up and down. So what we're trying to do in Dayton Public Schools is take small incremental steps forward. And so we've been able to take a huge step forward the first year. Our performance index score went from 64 to 79, which is significant. And we made what's called AYP. And then the second year, we're down about 78.4 or 6. So we kind of stayed consistent.
Because you get extra points for making that big jump for AYP, average yearly, what is it, progress?
You do.
Okay. So what have you done to change the atmosphere at this school? What do you focus on? What's the first and foremost?
Not for me. It's not me personally. It's
right.
A team effort. And Miss Sharon Goins and Miss Judy Spurlock were here in the beginning. Judy Spurlock is now over at Ruskin as Devin Berry's assistant principal. She's gone. But we just simply began the first year as a safe and orderly environment year, which is one of the 5 district goals. So we needed to make Thurgood Marshall safe. And that meant spending a lot of time in hallways. It meant spending a lot of time lunch duty, breakfast duty, after school. It meant a lot of home visits. It meant a lot of parent calls. It meant a lot of parent meetings and conferences to discuss the expectations for Thurgood Marshall High School.
And when you agree that parental involvement in education is one of the critical success factors, pretty much? If parents aren't involved, kids don't do well?
I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree. I think that ultimately, if you take an example of a child who, or student rather, at the high school level, versus
right.
child. If you take a student at the high school level and then they're involved in extracurricular activities, more often than not, they get to school at about the time when we start, which would be 8:30 or so. We start at 9. And if they're involved in cheerleading, football, journalism club, math and science club, Spanish club, volleyball, basketball conditioning, they don't get home until probably 7:30, 8. So our position is the exact opposite of what I consider to be the normal position that's put forward in education, which is if parents aren't involved, you're not going to be successful. The truth of the matter is at the high school level, the kids are gone from home more often than they're there. So we serve as their surrogate parents. So the key for me is to get enough people involved in this operation that think and care and feel about kids like we do.
And Thurgood, you've had a very successful football program, basketball program, and ROTC program.
Correct.
Keeping kids in after school. I mean, these have all been at top level, and you've got other programs going on here too?
Other programs we continue to develop each year.
Okay.
Some new programs would be the Tri-Math Olympic competition, which used to be held at the University of Dayton. It's among area high schools. We have that competition here now.
Okay.
It's held here. UD comes out and brings, UD and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base comes out and they bring adult tutors who have doctorates in things ranging from nuclear physics to nanotechnology. And they work with students on what I would consider to be extreme mathematics.
Okay.
And so we have students.
Extreme mathematics for me is anything it's got letters in it.
Yeah. So that occurs here every other Saturday morning.
And may I note, we're here Sunday at about 1:10, but Mr. Lawrence has been here since 6:30 this morning, and he was here yesterday as well. So he's working 7 days a week. But
there's a lot to do.
STEM school, you're basically doing the same things that they keep talking about at that regional STEM school here, correct? That's the goal.
That is 100% correct. Let me just say that there's an award called a Shaw Award, which it's a science-based award. It's given at the state science fair. There, you need to have 80% of your projects as exemplary.
Okay.
We just missed this year. We had 3 outstandings and 2 excellent. So 3 of the 5. So that's the fact that 5 projects made it to the state was incredible. I don't know of any other school in the area that had that many projects that made it there. I could be wrong. I'm sure someone will blog in and tell me.
Okay.
But an incredible accomplishment for us. And so really close to winning a prestigious science award. We have a robotics team, trebuchet. We have a remote control aircraft team. We have a very close partnership with Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and the research lab through our SEAT umbrella, which is run by Noble Solutions. So we have, let me just say, lots of things going on in the area of science.
And you're also
an engineering building also. We have an engineering class,
okay.
4 of them. Introduction to elements of design and engineering, and then principles of engineering.
Okay. And you're also serving here as an education laboratory and training teachers of the future, correct?
This is an education laboratory. I like to use the word clinical site because it kind of plays on the medical rounds
okay.
that you would conduct if you were in a hospital. So this is a clinical site where we train teachers and we train each other to become better teachers. So this is the 3rd year. It's really accelerating this year. Our primary sponsors in this clinical lab are the University of Dayton, Wright State University, Antioch, McGregor, and Central State University. So, but principally UD and Wright State.
So you're taking their education students, bringing them here, and putting them in the classrooms to learn how it's done.
Yes, we'll have no less than between 15 and 22 students enter the doors this year to do either what we call phase 1 and 2 observations or student teaching work with which usually encompasses 10 to 12 weeks.
Okay, and this school is grades 9 through 12, and you have 703 students.
We have 697, between 697 and a little over 7 is where we are.
And out of that student body, your student body is not very diverse, correct?
I disagree.
You disagree? Okay.
Yeah, I think. What are you speaking of when you say diversity?
I'm talking about in terms of race, income.
There's not a lot of diversity if you're talking about race, and that depends on how you define race.
Okay.
Keenan Malik, who's a well-regarded author, would say that there is no such thing as that. That in fact, about 99.
We're all human.
99% of us or more all possess the same basic DNA or genetic type. But if you want to use color as race, I will.
Well, I'm talking about
99% of kids are black.
Okay, and income levels?
There's about 90% who qualify for free and reduced lunch.
Okay. And special needs and special education requirements?
There's about 23 to 26% of the students who meet that designation that you just gave, the special needs, other health impaired, or there are, I believe, 19 different categories, I believe, of
no, they keep changing things with the state level, so these metrics, the metrics don't always line up, but part of these report cards, and when you're comparing school district to school district and building to building, you may not be comparing the same sort of student body makeup. There is no factor for that, correct? I mean, they just give a straight score based on the students that are here, not based on there's no weighting for special needs, English as a second language, or any of those other things, correct?
There are categories for those.
But your total score, you don't get any kind of weighting for that. You get straight
Dayton
score.
Public Schools is probably penalized more for the number of students that fall under those different designations that you mentioned.
Now, Dayton Public Schools has been making some major changes in terms of going towards community schools.
Great idea.
And why do you think that's a great idea?
Well, I think, what's the word I want to use? Mobility rate is the word that triggers in my mind. The mobility rate of students is shown to have a direct impact on academic achievement. And that really kind of makes sense if you think about it in every sphere. You know, imagine having a different set of parents every 3 years.
Right.
You know, imagine if you're an athlete participating in a different high school team every year.
Right.
You know, imagine finally if you're a student every couple of years going to another school.
Right.
You know,
I just got back.
Major impact.
I just got back from my 30-year reunion, and you know, the people I felt closest to are the ones I started out with from 3rd grade all the way up, and we're still more tight than the other ones. So, I don't see that happening as often in urban districts these days because the kids get moved around and they've switched schools, not necessarily by choice, but by the district's choice. Anyways, I've written about you a couple times on the blog, and I thought people should put a face to the name, and so now they have, and I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get back together and talk about this again soon.
Absolutely. I look forward to responding to the responses that you get.
All right. Thanks.
All right.